Well, hello, model car fans. Welcome to the Muscle Car Modeler. My name is Raul. And this week we're going to dive into this kit and the other one I got that's similar to it of the Dodge Omni 024 here. And these are, I've never built one of these. I've been curious about them, but not all that much about this particular one. But I kind of seen them around here, but they've been, few and far between. I really don't know how well they've sold. I've seen them before, just looking for just different stuff and browsing eBay because I tend to do that quite a bit. But before we really dig into this one yet, I just want to say that this video and these models are sponsored by our sponsor, Hobby Nut Models here. He had this one sealed in his stash or collection and on his website for sale and everything. And I was sitting there, but and I'd seen it there. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But I really wanted this particular one, the Dodge Shelby Charger, and I'm a big Shelby fan. And being that these K cars were a lot of fun, and I'll get into some of my memories with them here in a little bit. But I really wanted this particular kit. But Mark goes, well, what about this kit? It's almost the same. Well, I had some presumptions on this particular kit, and I wasn't sure what was actually in it. I just know from the box and looking at it that it's an all custom here with some crazy stuff on it, and I didn't know much about it. It doesn't really say what's in the box as far as completely. There are some hints that it says there are some optional road racing wheels, optional turbocharger, road racing flares and stuff, but it doesn't tell you that it's a 2-in-1 or 1 of 1 or anything like that. This is a very early version of it. The kit's marked 1981. And, when it comes to the real cars, they first came out in 1979. So the Dodge Omni 024 came out. Then there was the Plymouth Horizon TC3, which there actually is an AMT version of that. I've never seen it, the contents of it. I really haven't seen the contents of this one either before this. But it was fun to really look at this kit, and I was a little bit surprised. But going back into it, I don't know how related the AMT version is to this MPC, because nowadays the names are kind of interchanged. But at the time when these kits were issued, in 79, AMT was owned by somebody and MPC was somebody else. And I know Ertl bought AMT in like 1981, but they didn't get a hold of MPC until like 1985. So when they were making these kits, they were two different companies, but I don't know if they shared stuff before, and I really don't know what's in that AMT Horizon TC3. Sorry, name jumped out of my head. Even though my best friend had one. So I kind of would like to see that kit, but out of curiosity, but I'm not really gonna, hunt that one down just to buy it, to look at it. But that's kind of how, Mark sent me this one. And so I was real curious and decided to check it out. So my interest in these, going back to some of these, my best friend Jeremy, his first car was an 85 Plymouth Turismo. And that was like in 1989, 16 years old. And he got that, and I didn't even have a first car. I was using mom's station wagon and dad's T-Bird, but I wasn't allowed to drive them all the time. I did eventually buy mom's station wagon. That's the wagon I've brought up a couple of times, and hot rod, and still have it. But he doesn't have his 85 Turismo anymore. That's long gone, but within a year, he actually picked up an earlier model TC3. He had that, and his parents also had two four-door Horizons as well. I think one was technically an Omni and one was a Horizon. So it was kind of funny. They had four of them. Two of them were automatics, two of them were sticks. But we drove that thing everywhere. We had a lot of fun. It wasn't really fast, but there wasn't much that was fast at the time. So it was kind of a crazy time when it comes to that kind of stuff. So this one being like a kit issued in 81. This is before the Shelby versions came out. So there's some interesting stuff in here. First, it actually has the TC, not TC3, the Dodge Omni 024 body on it. So this body's a little bit different, and it's mostly all in this rear window section here on how it's made. The rest of the body is pretty much the same. Roof, the back section here. So a lot of it is the same, and it looks like it's a fairly decent kit, you know, for what MPC was putting out at the time. Here's the chassis on it. Made by Fun Dimensions. That's who owned MPC at this time. And, you know, here's the interior tub. So looking at some of this stuff and comparing it to the other one, it's kind of funny that even though this predates the Shelby, there's a lot of stuff in here that's in the first versions that stayed. So here's the funky Goodyear wheels or tires. Not a big fan of these particular ones, but they're interesting. These Goodyears. Really, really small, but I mean, these things had like 13s on them, if I remember right. This tree, here we got, you know, a couple of bucket seats here, the seat backs, another seat back here, some of these other parts. But there's 2 sets of seats in this thing. Here's what I wasn't expecting. There's the stock front bumper, the stock rear bumper. This piece, which I believe is part of the console. The wheel backs, of course. And we got some other parts here. We got one of the custom flares, the custom rear wing, a different custom rear wing. So we got a couple of wing options. The side vents that go on the back here. And we got the one that goes on the back window. Now, Jeremy's, he had one of these on the back window, which is really nice. It really shaded the back there. Almost mandatory with the size of that rear glass. Here's the glass on it. And it's kind of funny the way it's molded, like this separates or not. Really, I haven't built these, of course, so I really don't know how this goes. But this window gets really thin right there, and this one doesn't. So some interesting points there. Here's the chrome wheels, the custom wheels. You know, some of the custom engine parts here, engine parts. And then the valve cover fan. Some of the stuff's kind of weird that it's chrome. But it's got these wheels. Now, these are like the 024's accessory wheels. There were some rally wheels and whatnot. But in 79 and 80 had these wheels. I think 81 was a little bit different for the stock wheels. But it's kind of interesting that this is the early one. And the motor this thing has, it's kind of, you know, another thing that's kind of funny, but they kind of all have it. This is literally the first couple of years had a 1.7 Volkswagen-based motor in it, and it was kind of a dog. My friends had the later 2.2 engine that came out in 81 or 82 that was put in these motors, and they were much more powerful, but still not much to brag about here. We got all the suspension here, front, back, the solid beam axle, some engine parts here, and battery, some miscellaneous details here. Here's that crazy front wing nose that's on the box art. My thoughts was this is just kind of crazy, and I think these kits, they really wanted to sell them, and the car itself wasn't very exciting in stock form, but then they started to reissue them with the crazy box arts. We got the flares here, another flare, the exhaust, all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. We got the stock molded in plastic tires. So that was still going on. Here's the stock flat hood. Got to show you that. And then some of the other custom seats. Here's this different seat here. We got, those are the seat bottoms, the seat back, and then the other pieces are the back of this and back of this that were over there. Flare, console. This one's actually got a different steering wheel than the other kit. And the rest of the engine and some of these parts, and then these tail lights. Just all kinds of goofy parts in here, and fan shroud. So to my surprise that you could actually build this thing stock, that I was not expecting, but all those parts are in there. But they had a bunch of these. They had the stock version came out first. I'll put the box arts off to the side here. And then they came out with the silver bullets, which just added some custom parts, kind of a rally car. And then another one, well, this one, the Sidewinder, this is the 3rd issue. And then, you know, after that, it was changed to the Charger 2+2, which still was mostly the same body. Here's a look at the decals, by the way. Here's the Sidewinder decals, and your standard MPC instructions for the time being. So, not much changed in any of this stuff. Typical, but it's just showing you that you got the stock and the custom parts. So, a lot of interesting parts in here, but just the fact that you can actually make the stock one. So I might have just a little bit of fun, build this right out of the box as a stock one. That's, I really didn't have any desire until I saw what was in this box, what could be built with it. But then after they had the Charger 2+2, then they had like this rally car and a couple of versions of the Shelby when the Shelby first came out, which I think was 83, 82, 83. But, had this silver and black, silver and blue, or blue and silver color combos, and some red and silver and some other ones. And eventually the GLHS goes like hell some more. That's a crazy car. But to put the turbos on there and then get some of the things, this was way before some serious computer controls and everything. So quite interesting, when you look at the power that these things were making. And I mean, premium things at the time, it cracks me up to think like the 82 Corvette was doing like the 82 Corvette was 195 horsepower. The 84 Corvette was 205 horsepower from the factory. Wow. And then, you get into these and it's a much smaller, lighter car. They were pretty potent, but we laugh at it today, but that's what it was back then. So, and they were fairly affordable, some of them. Here's the Shelby decals in this one. It's really nice decals, so I was pretty excited to see that. And in both colors. So, I always preferred the blue with the silver stripes, like the box shows. Now, the instructions really show, it's pretty much, the same kit. All the same parts. It even still has the Volkswagen-based 1.7, so it doesn't have the Shelby valve covers or the turbo or any of the actual Shelby parts. I mean, because they show the carbureted turbocharged. So none of this stuff actually changed when it came to the chassis and even the interior. I was kind of surprised. I started to look this over. So, the rear window hasn't changed much. I didn't see anything really change on this. Other than it's got the covers for the front, and it's got the rally version, the lights are here for that, and it's kind of funny, those parts are in here too. But here's the stock parts of the same seat console, that piece of the console, the same rear bumper. But here's the Shelby's front bumper with the Shelby ground effects, wheel backs of course. Here's the full body and everything. And here's where the whole rear section is a little bit different for the later cars, the 82 and later. So they redesigned the windows and covered this kind of stuff up. But the rest of the body is pretty much the same. You can see where they, just engraved and covered the fundamentals just to hide that. So that's where it is on the other chassis. But the rest of it is the same. And it's funny because I don't see MPC anywhere on this chassis, which is kind of unusual. And I thought being the new one, they would do the pad printing on it. But I don't see that either. Well, actually, I lied. It's right there. The FCA, current owners, which is really Stellantis, but FCA. And then here's the exact same interior tub. So this interior tub was not updated at all. Has all the same stuff. And the rest of the body, you can see the tooling is pretty much exactly the same, other than just the rear window sections here. Which is funny because this is the one I wanted. But got some other stuff here. All right, we got these roll bar parts, which I'm not sure which version these particular ones showed up in. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the rally car. I think they might be in the instructions. So here we got the flares that are in the Sidewinder kit, a different AC dash console piece here with no console. Here's the extensions of the front fenders for the ground effects, more ground effects pieces. The rear wing, which I think this was a little bit different. I haven't really compared the two. The side skirts for the Shelby ground effects. So we got all that in there. We still have this piece, but this has the scoops that go on the fenders from the Charger 2+2 before Shelby version. So it has those, which I think that's cool, but it doesn't have the big square block that's on the top of the hood for the Charger 2+2. This tree is still all the same. You know, none of the parts here have changed. So I was a little bit surprised. I was expecting to see some more updated parts. And same thing with this. Here's the interior, the same exhaust, all the same seats. You know, the pattern, nothing changed. So I was a little bit surprised to see all of that in there. So to have these parts in that 81 kit and still be in this one, kind of a bit of a surprise. Here's the dash. I know I didn't show you the dash in the other one. It was in the box, but it's the same. Here's the steering wheel. It's just a little bit more square instead of round, but still the 4 spokes. So, you know, the steering wheel on the interior is about the only thing that's a little bit different. And here's that motor and all those parts again. But there's the Shelby hood, or the turbo hood, the little bit later hood. Some of the Shelbys had with a handling package and didn't have the turbo, or had a flat hood. But they got a little bit more, and I believe an intercooler was added for this as well, but really not in the kit. And then last is the chrome tree is 90% the same, other than, see, there's the same custom wheels, but there's the Shelby wheels right there. But all the rest of the chrome is all pretty much here, but there's the Rally lights right there, and then some other ones. So I think that's from the Rally, where you got an antenna and then the regular headlights. So, and all the engine parts still here. So all of this is still in there. And we've got, you know, these Goodyear Eagle ZR tires, which that's cool. That's the only thing that's really in this one that's different. Tires are definitely different. Got a couple of loose pieces in here, but all kinds of interesting and fun stuff. So I was a bit surprised at how much stuff is the same in this kit, which that I wasn't expecting. I was expecting updates to the interior. We got all these custom parts from other versions as well. But, you know, you can build the Shelby, which is what my goal was, to do some of the 80s Shelbys. And you don't hear too much, and you don't hear too many Shelby fans talking about, you know, the Dodge versions that he was involved in. You know, even though he was involved in the development of the Viper as well. But Lee Iacocca drawed him over and says, hey buddy, come on over and help me, you know, with these cars, and let's see what we can do with them. This might be fun. So, you know, Shelby did get involved, and I like that story. But it's kind of fun to just look at this older kit and see what was in it and compare it to this. So I was a little bit surprised on all the different versions of it. But I have a lot of fond memories of my friend Jeremy's first car and riding around in that, and maybe missing a class or two with it, and, you know, just the freedom that came along with your first car. But anyways, you guys, this was kind of fun for me, and I know it's a little bit outside of, you know, what a muscle car is or whatnot, because it's really not. But it's just, you know, kind of an unusual kit, maybe a forgotten kit, and just one that I think is interesting. So that's kind of why I'm doing the video and just kind of, you know, sharing something with you. But anyways, you guys, I just want to thank you and thank Hobby Nut Models for sponsoring this video and sending me the kits as well. Thanks again. Thanks for all your comments, your support, your likes, your shares, your subscribes, and all that good stuff. So you guys, you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll see you next time.